Welcome, everyone. Elle Ingalls here. I'm so glad to be here with a dear friend, new friend, Maurice Thibodeau. We met, what, about 3 months ago or so, I think.
It feels a
Um,
lot longer.
it does feel longer because we instantly connected, and which is why you're here. Because when I connect with people and it feels like a good fit, I bring them on my shows. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am the creator of the Pressure Free Method. It's an on-the-go stress management method. I've been coaching this since 2010. And in this series, I've brought on people who are sleep experts, experts that can help us with performance anxiety and that can help us get our desired results. And when I thought about bringing Maurice in here, um, thinking about how he helps people get their desired results was really what was pinging on me. So, Maurice, I'm so happy to have you here. If you could introduce yourself and just share a bit about yourself, and we'll just dive in here together.
Absolutely. So my name is Maurice Thibodeau, and in addition to being a coach, I coach executives mostly. And also I do some personal development retreats where we really do some of the deepest work. I've created a system, a method, about how we can really look at our lives in a really complete way. And I think, where it's going to be most relevant in this conversation is like, how do we bring people to powerful focus so we can perform at our best? So one, I teach coaches how to use that system through a certification process. And then I use it all the time in my own work. I use it in my retreats. I use it with the executives I coach because the power of focus can go a long way to help us getting what we truly want and sorting out kind of the rest.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And when you're thinking about focus, I'm just curious. I mean, I've seen some of your work, um, but can you give me some of the outcomes that you see when people gain the kind of focus you're talking about? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, so the outcome of actually one of the first ones, I'm going to go feeling based first, is when someone looks at their entire life and including the messy bits that maybe were and most often are operating in the background, causing things like sleepless nights, causing things like overwhelm, causing things like I just don't know, where to go next or what's causing this. When someone sees, we measure 13 different categories. When someone sees that in a way that's they can kind of witness themselves, it creates this level of like ease, like, oh, like I can now name it. I can now put my finger on this thing that was happening in my life that because of all the roles that I'm playing and all the things that I'm focused on, I just didn't see how much of effect it was having on me,
Sure.
particularly when that's witnessed with a coach. Then it's like, oh, thank you for helping me see what was already going on. And then it creates this clarity of path where it's like, oh, so if only I could focus, like if I focused on this, everything else would be better.
Hmm.
So typically the outcome is really like crystal clear laser focus on what to work on. And then my method creates the not just the what's happening, but it helps point in a pretty precise way to the why. Why is this not working in your life right now? And then what's next? So it's like awareness is step one, and that creates ease, comfort. Okay, and then you take the power of the why to put that into whatever the strategy is going to best meet that person's need. Because
Hmm.
when we match the wrong strategy to the wrong right to could be a great strategy, but if it's not really what's the core issue, then it's going to be more inefficient effort spent.
That makes sense. Um, I have this coach, this writing coach, Brian Morgan. I highly recommend him if you do any writing at all. And he talks, one of the biggest lessons I get from him is abstraction versus concrete. Abstraction versus concrete. Can you give a concrete, maybe it's going to be your own, like your own realization when you when you went through LIA, your LIA, like give me a concrete example of something either you or a client that you feel you can share
Mhm.
about, and what you saw happen there.
Sure. A couple come to mind. I This one's really fresh. So
Okay.
in the last month, and one of the concrete beauties is we're measuring. So I have my executive clients go through this.
Mhm.
So I'm sitting down and we look at her life map and we notice that in her work category, it's off to the left. And in my system, that means it's out of right, it's out of fulfillment.
Okay. Out of fulfillment. I love that
Out
word,
of
by the
fulfillment.
way.
So we had a real discussion about what was happening there, and we looked at the measures that we were measuring. I'm getting to the concrete part. It
Okay.
comes in the end. So in the coaching intervention, we found the root cause where she was feeling disempowered. She was feeling not heard. So her engagement score was actually really high, but her somatic scale was really low. So
Interesting.
I could look at that and right away I'm like, this is someone that, and I had her Gallup strength. So she's a high achiever. She's totally engaged. It was 80% out of 100. But then compared to everything else in her life map, actually the work was out here. She was barely neutral in
Wow.
her like how she was feeling about things. So in like 15 minutes, I was able to go there right away. We're able to have this deep discussion, create strategies around what that engagement was really about. And it was really about not being seen and heard. Um, and we had some strategies about self-accountability
I'm
and
gonna I'm gonna ask about like seen and heard by whom? Was there a particular
specific
person or
it was specifically her main report.
her main report? Got it. Uh-huh.
Not her report, her boss, like the
Or
person she
boss.
was reporting
Right,
to.
right, right.
She's like, this is my department. These things are happening. And it was really just like she didn't yet have the courage to find her voice. And oh, jeez, I dropped it. That was funny. I hadn't moved around enough. I guess this room has automatic lights. I'll
Oh,
come back.
got it.
Here we go. Ooh, you see
That was
how
wild. I loved it.
I can just illuminate things? Uh,
Yeah. With your hands.
so we went through some needs, feelings, needs, requests based communication strategies. And uh, and a month later, I'm meeting with her monthly,
Mhm.
and I check in and I say, well, if we were to look at your life map now, skipping kind of all the details, how are you feeling? So engagement still actually was a 9 now out of 10, but now her somatic scale from from having the ability of having one conversation went from a 5 to a 9. And it was the most unfulfilled area of her life in combination. That's funny.
And this is totally pressure free. So whatever happens, however this happens is
I
totally
just
fine.
I wish the timing was perfect because she went
Right.
from darkness to light,
Delight. Right.
which was I was just so celebrating, and the fact that her and I were able to look at it, and it wasn't this like, oh well, I think I feel better, things are going better, as is often in a coaching conversation. Now I can say, but let's really look at why it's better.
Right.
What
Right.
happened? And then she's like, oh, well, I was ready. And then this happened and that, right. So how would you repeat that? Oh, right. How do we keep on track? Oh, right. So the concrete benefit of having clarity is you don't get this, it's less likely that you're going to have this seesaw of like, oh, that worked. And then it gets forgotten.
Oh, right. Right.
Because
Hmm.
it's like you literally have a map of the things that
Right.
aren't going well. And then
Yeah. And you
it's
create a pattern, a strategy to transform it.
yeah.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Um, yeah, I love that. So share some more. I mean, this is fascinating stuff. So
Okay, so the other one, if examples are good. So
yeah.
I always have people take these before I host a retreat. Like it does a bunch of things for me as a facilitator. It lets me know exactly where each person is at.
Hmm.
And it also like it shows me where themes might emerge. For this individual, she's coming to an intensive 5 day retreat, and she was actually there with her husband, 44 years. Me and the co-facilitator, we would have had no idea because on the face of it, like they're a normal married couple on the face of it. I look at their life map, and both of them have this huge outlier. And again, I keep pointing to the left because
Right, right.
if you know how to read a life map, which I teach, you look for the outliers. And they both had this outlier of like major pain. Like it was like there was life map, and then there's this huge thing over here with a small bubble, which means it's not healthy and it's in a hugely unfulfilled state. And we're like, okay, they're going to spend the next 5 days together. And it allowed me to really like hone in on that. I ended up going for a walk with one of the participants. And I said, hey, I noticed this, like a life map review is part of like where we're finding our focus for them in the retreat. Would it be comfortable for me to ask you some questions? So right away, I was able to go to a painful point that they weren't coming there as a couples retreat. Like this thing might not have even come up. Like it might have, but it wouldn't like they've literally been masking it for years, years. And she was in such a state of almost hopelessness of like, I can't do anything about this. We've got kids and grandkids. Like this is like it was kind of like she was in her own lane.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And we were able to have this really kind of opening conversation choice. And is that really happening for both of them as they ended up like after years and years of disconnection coming together to actually unearth these things that have been building for years and years and years.
Wow.
And I've got permission to share her story because it's really like her life map. If I were to show I use it a lot because I have the comparison of years before the retreat, and we hone in on her love life, because it was like compared to her the rest of her life, she was at like a total health score of like 20%.
Oh, wow.
The rest of her life, she's a pretty high achiever. Um, So she went from a 20% and within 3 weeks, and it was only like it probably would have been within that week. But when we measured again, it went from a state of like 2 out of 10, 6 out of 10, not like,
Hmm.
and it changed in priority. So the left
Okay.
to right of my life map, it shows the priority. They both had it way down in the bottom, like it was between 9 and 13.
Okay.
Her priority, like let's say it was a 10 to a 6 or a 4. I can't remember, but the priority of that, because it went from hopelessness to I have a choice here. We're working on it. So this whole mindset shift changed, and it was really cool because we can celebrate that success with both of them. To say,
Yeah.
like, look at the work that you did. So often, I think if I'm speaking to coaches,
Hmm.
in our coaching practices and our programs, we're doing amazing work. We can feel it. We know it. And we're not measuring it. The measure is in our clients' lives and their stories,
Right, right.
which is wonderful. And that's what's most important. And also, it's really cool and can help with the rapid transformation when you and your client can both look and say, oh, do you remember 2022 when this was your life? Look at it now. And there's always next, right? So whenever you're looking, you can celebrate the successes and you can focus like, oh, right, that's taken care of, but now I think I need to work on this. So
Hmm.
that would be another, that's one of my favorite stories because and facilitators, highly intuitive. Um, when
Uh-huh.
you, when you have somebody that's been hiding something for so long, they're an expert at it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
They are an ex they're expert at hiding in plain sight, and you might miss it. Even most intuitive, best coaches, you might miss it
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's something that they've buried deep inside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sometimes I notice things come out maybe 4 or 5 sessions
Yeah,
in, and it's like, oh, okay. And sometimes it's a trust build up too. Are you willing to can you show us I think
absolutely.
you have a possible slide. I think it'd be cool for people to see.
I can I can actually I can share with you the life map
Okay.
of one of the maybe the person I was just talking about.
I think that would
Yeah,
be fun.
yeah. I'll grab hers. Okay. I'm just on my little laptop today, so we'll make
Here's,
that work.
here's another question while you're hunting that up. And something that I notice is that sometimes people don't share something in an intake or even during sessions because they think that isn't anything that could ever change.
Yeah.
Sounds like that was where this person was.
Um, Absolutely.
Hmm.
And also the other things that I would add on is a lot of times clients are not because of trust, like you said, they don't know yet of trust.
Right.
And some heavy stuff. So there's shame, there's huge vulnerability sometimes there's guilt. So it's not something that someone sometimes comes and just says, here it is.
Hmm. Hmm.
But there's something magical that happens when you give them an assessment and say, just answer it honestly. And they do it from their own home in the comfort of their space. They're there because they want the help.
That's
Inside,
right.
their body's screaming for it. So when they go to answer these questions, I've rarely had, I don't think I've actually ever, and I've done hundreds of these,
Uh-huh.
had someone where I had someone like just like totally mislead in the assessment. Had lots of times where clients have held back, misled, and even lied, just so they didn't have to moment or they were worried. Here, it's like the truth teller. And then when you
Yeah.
start with it, so we're looking at a life map right at um, uh, this this couple. So this is I call her Gigi. We'll call her Gigi.
Okay.
Um, and her configuration, yeah, the further to these life categories are, the more of a fulfilled state they are in. Uh, so she had a lot of them in almost total fulfillment. Like when they get into flow and ease, which is hard to get into, it means like they're living like their abundant life. She had so many life categories in there.
Hmm.
And then there was these two outliers. And this one in particular, which is just a tiny, tiny little bubble. So
Hmm.
that's why I was like, oh, like right away, something's going on there. So we would dig in deeper. And so we measure 5 well-being measures. So um, the value of the next layer is like, okay, this is what's happening, but what's the why behind it? And this usually takes about an hour to unpack. But what we noticed right away is her emotional energy level, that somatic question that we asked, it was at 0,
Wow.
as low as it can go.
Wow.
And I was like, oh. And of course, and she was feeling totally incapable. Like that's where the whole, like when you said, like, they won't share it because they think nothing's going to change.
Right. Yeah.
After the work that we did, what I like to do is do the compare. Uh, so this is just 3 weeks later.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
look at what happened to love life.
Hmm.
And this is where it changed 3, right? So it was a priority 9. It's gone up to a 6. Because now it's like, oh, this is actually something that I still care about in my life.
Right. Yeah. So
Um,
the priority change. And then I also see a whole bunch of things more in flow.
yes, everything moved over because this
Yeah.
sense of empowerment changed actually her relationship with all these other categories,
Hmm. That's
which was
fascinating.
really cool. And also she just spent a bunch of money and time in a retreat. And
Right.
for her to be able to look and say, oh, like it mattered. Like here's the work I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, it was also a nice validation for that for us too as facilitators.
Hmm.
Here's how it affected her total life score.
Hmm.
And what I like to go with this one is the detailed comparison because when you look at the emotional energy level, it went from zero, so literally from 0 to 60, right? Like so it's
In 3 weeks.
three,
Zero to
it's
60 in 3 weeks.
0 to 60 in 3 weeks.
Oh, that's good.
And then watch with capability. And the other cool thing is like if you compare it to our averages too. So um I'll do that with capability. She went from 10 to 70.
Oh, fascinating.
And not like we didn't, I would love to say that we give her a whole bunch of tools and a whole bunch of like we didn't. We broke the ice and we did some major healing and we
Yeah.
did some major mindset reset, but we didn't give them a major tool set to be better in their relationship.
Hmm.
But she was now able to access all that stuff that she already had. And she felt like so much. I get goosebumps still talking about it because it's really, really cool to see this
Hmm.
transference happen in your clients. Um, it's just, yeah, it's really, really cool. And so the other cool thing I was going to say, the nuance of the set point. So her average capability before was 69.
Hmm.
She was feeling a 10. So a person that generally feels quite capable and is feeling 10% in the category of their life,
Hmm.
imagine the energetic pull that that's going to take.
Mm. Mm.
So together they tell a story. Uh,
Yeah.
and what we do is we help people see themselves. We help people see their whole story with
Yeah.
radical compassion.
Hmm.
And then we're at the doorstep to do our best work. We're at the
Uh,
doorstep of, okay, you've got this radical self-awareness now, and you've been able to do it in witness of a coach that loves you, that's not judging you, that says you're okay exactly where you are. And then we say, now what? Right? What's the work that we're going to do together? So if you were using this with your clients, right, you would be using this and finding all the stress points in their life.
right. Yeah.
And it would be really like you could map it like
Yeah.
easy. You've done this for so many years. You have an intuitive and Socratic approach already, so that's how you find it.
Yeah.
Uh, this would put a map to it.
Yeah. How did you come up with fulfillment and priority as your axes? I'm curious.
Fulfillment is when I think of happiness, like most, um, I'll put it back when I'm done. Trust me. Oh, I was here. I got the bag over there. I'll put. Okay. I had my foot on it before, but I'm gonna leave it exactly how it was. Okay. There we go. Pressure free.
That's right. Pressure free. Absolutely. Okay, so fulfillment.
So fulfillment, we need a deeper read of than happiness. Happiness is an emotion. It's going to come and go. It's part of our humanity. And sometimes we're going to be sad, and sometimes we're going to be angry. That's the way it goes.
Hmm.
Um, and so many, a lot of, to me, it's too surface level. So fulfillment, it's like I can be sad and still feel full. Fulfillment is I believe, a more holistic measure of how we're living.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, the
And
happiness word has a lot around it that I actually use optimal.
mm,
And I came up with that one when I was working on a hard violin piece that was in a dark key. It was a dark piece, okay? And I
mhm,
was so in the zone. And I'm
mhm,
like, okay, so I'm not happy right now, but I'm so in the zone. What is that? And I refer to it as optimal or totally fulfilled,
mhm.
And that is what I aim for with my clients because some of my clients do really serious work
Yeah.
and it might not necessarily be happy, but it's so fulfilling. So I
Yes.
love that. I love that you came up with that rather than like a negative positive. I used to do negative positive. I don't even do that anymore. I talk about optimal.
Mm.
So that's really cool. So I love that word fulfillment. Just it geeks me out. And then priority, that how you measure that at that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah. And priority helps us find focus. I priority can be an interesting one, but it does because it's context based. Like
Right.
you're my priority right now. So
Right.
it does have a time element.
Yeah.
But when we say, what's my, like, when you're doing a reflection and you say, what's the highest priority to you? It measures more towards value, right?
Right.
Values. And it's like, okay, what is most important to me right now?
Mhm. Mhm.
And when people look at their life's map, it can really be telling. It can create some really great conversation around, okay, well, it looks like like your highest priority categories, they are doing excellent.
Mhm.
So there's like celebration and acknowledgement. And it's like, and you don't want to sacrifice those ever because they're your highest priority.
Yeah.
So it helps create focus in a really fast way.
I love it. I love it so much. Um, Before we close out, how can people get a hold of you, Maurice? And do you have anything you want to share with them?
Well, if you're listening to this, like it's today is April the 10th. I have my
Hmm.
next certification coming. So if you're a coach or well-being provider and you're interested in evaluating using this method in your practice, then I've got a certification class at the end of the month. I'd love you to reach me either on LinkedIn. I can put that in the chat later. I have a free masterclass this Saturday where I'll be demoing it and I'll be doing at least one more before the end of the month. So,
Cool.
and I'll give you the download program information link. So, if you're a coach and interested in training, that would be it. And if you're someone that's just interested in bringing this to your life or your community, then reach out to me. I'd love to make it work.
Cool. And when we get off here, go ahead and drop that right in the Facebook
I will.
so people have it right there. And then anybody who's come in, you're going to be getting this. So Maurice, thank you so much. This has been so fascinating to me. I'm going to close out our recording and close out our Facebook so we can answer any questions that we have live in here in the Zoom room. And wow, I love that you showed the map. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So let's close out of our Facebook. And for the recording, we'll be doing another one of these tomorrow night. You're going to get all these recordings, of course. And thank you so much, Maurice.